Hey guys, welcome to September. So this month we're doing a Python challenge, right? From the basics down to more advanced. And the beauty of it is that we are using this Python by example by Nicola Lacey. It comes with explanations and then learning to program in 150 challenges. I mean, what's the best way to learn if not hands-on, right? So for today, I'll be going straight into the challenge one, and this is what we are having for challenge one. So we have these blocks that shows us the challenges that we are supposed to do, 1 to 11 for today, and these ones are basics, right? From your print statement, inputs, variable, simple calculations. It's just for you to test your basic skills. So we move from basics, intermediate, and then we get along every day by day. We build this module for the next days in September, right? So I have my Jupyter notebook open here, which I would simply go over and start right away. Okay, so for this first question, it said ask the users their first name and display the outputs, right? Hello, first name, right? So I'll simply just add lines of code in it, and then we're creating a variable that we call first name, and because we request something from the user, we have to use the input. So please enter your name, then I'll give a space for them to enter their name, right? And then I'll say Loretta is my name, and over here I can see print hello first name, and this is what we have, right? So quickly delete these ones. And for this second question, it says we should ask the user the first name and ask for their surname and display the output as hello first name surname. So it's the same thing. So add another lines of code. You can simply copy what I have here because it's the same thing. When you want to ask for the first name, paste it over here, and then over here I can say my last name. The last name will still be this. So you can make these things more specific by saying please enter your last name, and this one will be your first name, right? And then over here you can print hello first name and last name, and then I will go ahead and run this. I'll enter Loretta, it's my first name. Over here it asks me for my last name. I would enter my last name, and here if I run this now, it tells me hello Loretta Anika, right? So that's for the second question. The third one says you should write code that will display the joke. What do you call a bear with no teeth? And on the next line, display the answer, a gummy bear, right? And try to create it using only one line of code. So you simply add more lines, right? And here you can say what print, because this is a text string, I simply just copy this, and over here I would paste it. It comes with a question mark. So to achieve that next line, I'll simply use this new line, a gummy bear, right? And when I run this, it tells me what do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear. So that's for that. And then the fourth one says ask the user to enter two numbers, add them together and display the answer as the total answer is. So we add new lines of code, and over here we ask, this is num1, because we'll be needing two numbers, right? So this is num1, and then we have the input function where we tell the user to please enter a number, right? We give space, then the user enters something like 23, and over here I have num2, which we use to store the second number. So we say input please enter another number, right? And then I run this, it tells the user enters 34. So what happens now? What happens now is that we need to do some little calculations. So we can say that answer is equal to num1 plus num2, right? And then it says that the output should say the total answer is. So we can simply just copy what we have here and over here print the total answer is answer, right? Then says the total answer is 2334. Is that right? So this is meant to be num1 plus num2. This is 23. So remember now, so this is not the supposed answer, because what it just did is it concatenated num1 and num2. So in this instance now, we need to convert the user input into integers. That's the only way it can do numerical calculations, right? So over here I can put int, wrap this input function inside an integer function, the same thing here. Then I can run it again, enter 23. Over here I still wrap it inside an integer function, and I put enter, I enter 34, right? So with this, when I do my total answer, it tells us that the answer is this plus this. So this is the total is 57, and actually 23 plus 34 is 57, right? So the next one says that we ask the user to enter three numbers, add together the first two numbers, then multiply this total by the third, display the answer as stated. So add more lines of code. It's similar to what we did before, so I would simply just copy them so we don't really waste time. And over here I can paste this again, but to be num2 this time around. I can paste this again to be num3, right? And we still add more lines of code. So the question is that we multiply the first two numbers, so the answer this time around, answer 2, would be num1 plus num2. We wrap it up in a parenthesis, right? And over here multiply what we have. So this is actually PEMDAS, knowing how to use your PEMDAS, parenthesis, addition, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, and all of that. So we're multiplying by the num3, and over here the output is supposed to display print statement. The answer is answer 2. So we simply run them now. We enter 23, we run this particular one, we enter 45, we run the next one, tells us enter another one, still enter 45, and then we run the part that does the calculation for us, and we print the answer as 30,060, right? So you can actually be adding comments. As ask the user for the first number. This makes the code more readable. And then over here ask the user for the second number, right? And over here you're asking for the third number. And then over here what you did is what? Calculations using PEMDAS, and then this place is to display your output, right? So you can add comments on all of your code to make it readable. At least when you start being complex, it's important that we add comments. So this sixth question says you should ask how many slices of pizza this user started with, and ask how many slices they have eaten. Then work out how many slices they have left and display the answer in a user-friendly format. So the first thing we are supposed to do is the number they started with. We use it as a variable. The container that will store what the user will finally tell us is the number of slices of pizza they started with. So remember, we have to wrap it inside an integer function so that it can be formatted to a number, right? So how many slices? So we said how many slices of pizza did you start with, right? And give it a space for it to answer. Click enter. I started with say 6, and then the next question will be eating, non-eating, right? How many number of pizzas the user has eaten. So we have integer input, and we are telling the user how many slices of the pizza have you eaten, right? And then the user goes to answer that he ate 3, and then do the calculation that remaining num, right, is equal to the num stats minus the num eating. And then we go ahead to print you have eaten. So I would like to make it in a friendly format, so I will tell the user that he has eaten the num eating slices right of pizza out of the num stats, right? Then put a full stop. You have just num. So this is remaining num. I would simply copy it. We have just of pizza left, slices of pizza left. So we quickly run this and see what happens. So there is an error over says that this is an invalid syntax. Why? Because we are printing text and number, and in Python you cannot really print your text and number using the way we are doing concatenating them. So what we use is an F string. So simply put an F here and delete every quotation mark, double quotation mark that we have in all of these things. After deleting them, we'll do another thing that should help us run the code with ease. So first of all, we have to delete all the double quotation marks, and leave it as it should. Now for these variables that we use to store the num start, the num eating, and the remaining, we enclose it in a parenthesis, curly braces rather. So we enclose this inside the curly braces. The same thing with num start, enclose it into the curly braces. The same thing with num eating, enclose it inside the curly braces, and then we'll go ahead and run. So it told us we have eaten 3 slices of pizza out of the 6. You have just 3 slices of pizza left. You can still make this out of the 6 slices which you started out with, right? Because we are trying to make it as user friendly as possible. So you have eaten 3 slices of pizza out of the 6 slices which you started out with. You have just 3 slices of pizza left, and that solves this particular question. The 7th says ask the user for their name and their age. Add 1 to their age and display the output. Name, next birthday, you will be new age. So add new lines of code. First thing is the user's name. So we have input. What is your name? What is your name? Right? Run it. My name is Loretta. And then it asks for the age. So the age is integer, and we have input. How old are you? How old are you? Right? Then runs this. How old are you? Say and 12, and it goes. We go to add more columns. Says we should add 1 to the age. So now the new age would be plus age plus 1, right? So that will be the new age. Then we run, and then it tells us that we should display this. So we have to print use f string, right? Or you can actually just do it that way, since we're not doing since we converted this into an integer, we are going to be using f string. But if we did not put the integer function, meaning it was just text, we will just not use the f string. So now, because it's an integer, I'm going to use f string. So I have that the name and next birthday is new age. Next birthday you will be new age. Then we'll go ahead and close this. So it's actually going to run an error because of this. Run again. So it says Loretta birthday, Loretta next birthday you will be 13. So the English is not really correct. It's supposed to be Loretta, your next birthday. In your next birthday you'll be 13 years. If I'm not mistaken. Loretta, for your next birthday, you will be 13 years, right? So UI UX or designers will tell you that you should make your work as seamless and user friendly for the user. So that is what we're trying to do here. So number 8 says ask for the total price of the bill, then ask how many diners there are, divide the total bill by the number of diners and show how much each person must pay. So still something good. So the first thing, ask for the total price. So total price, right? And tells us that total price, because we are asking, we have to use the input function, but then total price can be a float, that can be a decimal, so use the float data type. So we're asking the user to input how much is the total bill. Let's run this. User tells us that the total bill is 4500. Then run this. So I can actually give a space and put my dollar sign. So I said 4,500. So total bill is 4,500 pounds, right? Then it tells us that we should ask how many diners. Then ask input. The diners now will be the integer because human beings cannot be in decimal format. They must come as a full number. So we have input how many diners, and then it says 5. There are 5 diners. And then we go ahead to the calculation where we say that bill per person will equal total price, divide it by the number of diners, and then you run. So we add more lines, and then we're supposed to print. So we have print that each diner should pay bill per person. So each diner should be able to pay this amount that is allocated to each person, right? So we still put our dollar sign, and we're using our F string this time around, and then we go ahead to run this. So it tells us that each diner should pay $900 because 4,500 divided by 5 is actually 900. For the 9th question, says write a program that will ask for a number of days, then show how many hours, minutes and seconds there are in that number of days. So still it's simple one. So first of all, we have this as a variable which would store the number of days. So we have input enter a number of days. So enter 4 days, and then enter 4 days, and then it says that we should show how many hours. So we have to do some calculations, and we're starting with hours. So we have that hours equals 4 multiply days, right? We have another one where the minutes will be hours multiply 60. We have another one where seconds would be minutes multiply 60, right? So these hours, it's meant to be days multiply 24, because there are 24 hours in one day. So if there are 4 days, it will be 4 times 24, right? Then this is here to use our print statements to display them. So you can now print that in, can use our f string in 4 days. That means in days there are can now display print hours, print minutes, and print seconds, right? Print seconds. So go ahead and run. In 4 days, there are 96 hours. There are these minutes. So you have to indicate it so that it will be explanatory. And there are these seconds. Okay, so we're having an error that says hours. So we have in 4 days there are 96 hours, 5,760 minutes, and this number of seconds, right? So for the question 10, it says that there are 2,204 pounds in a kilogram. Should ask the user to enter a weight in kilograms and convert it to pounds. So we can do that, easy peasy, right? So over here, we can ask the user for a weight in kilogram. So we have weight, kg, and then this is going to be input, right? Ask the user, what is your weight in kilogram, right? And the user will go ahead and tell us their weights, but we have to wrap it inside an input function. So the user says maybe the user is 78, and then we have to do some calculations again. You have to convert the 78 kg to pounds. So if there are 2,204 pounds in 1 kg, 78 kg will be 78 divided 2,204, or 78 times 2.204, right? So either ways you would get your answer. So over here I have the conversion. I'll just use this as my variable name. Conversion would be the weight underscore kg multiply 2.204, right? And then I will print that, print your weight in pounds is conversion, right? So I can close this close this. So it tells us that your weight in pounds is this. And then for the last question, say task the user to enter a number over 100 and then another number under 10 and tell them how many times the smaller number goes into the larger number in a user-friendly manner. So large number, large will be integer, input function, enter a number over 100. User goes ahead to enter 120, right? Then small, we have integer inputs and tell the user to enter a number below 10. The user will go ahead and enter number like 5, and then you have to do some calculation where the multiple would be large divide small, right? And then we run this and display print that there are multiple of small in large, right? And we'll start it with the F string. So when we run this, let's see what we have. So there are 24.04 multiple of 5 in 120, right? So you have to count like 5 into it 4 times before you get 120. So if this is not the right English, you can use another English, but the logic is that you have to count 5 into 24 places for you to get to 120, right? So that ends it for our day 1 challenge. What we did here is your basic Python, like the basics, the very basics, starting from hello world, treated variable stores your inputs, or it's like a container that is used to store a statement which you are going to reuse. For reusability, you have variable. If this first name is not here, if the user enters Loretta, we cannot do anything with that first name because it was not stored anywhere. But with this variable first name, we're able to reuse it here. We did calculations, we did how to print your strings and numbers, we did commenting, we handled the new line. If you want something to appear in a new line, you want to use one line of code, you can use your \n, right, for line break. We did the calculations, addition, multiplication, PEMDAS basically. Learned how to convert, right, data type from maybe string to integer to float and vice versa. And this is very basic, and I'm happy you are here as we progress. Tomorrow is day 2. I'll see you on day 2. Come early.